Husband secretly indulged in strip clubs, porn addictions, and an affair, yet I'm scared to divorce and face life alone at 24. Met when we were 9, started dating at 12. Mind you, this was that middle school type of dating. He cheated on me when we were 15 or 16. At this point we were on again, off again, which continued until we were 17. I got a full ride to a university across the country for athletics/academics when I was 18. My first and only semester there, I hated the team and the coaches, and I had no friends. He flew out to visit me and we got engaged at 18 years old. He flew back a little over a month later and we had a courthouse wedding. I came home after the semester finished. He was 18 and I was 19 when he joined a very difficult/prestigious branch of the military. He left for 3 months for training, which was difficult, but we did fine. He came back for a few weeks and then left for a few more months for school for his particular job. During this time, I would later find out, he signed himself up on Bumble, and paid $50+ in upgrades for more swipes. He insists he never met anyone from it and no conversations that he had were ever anything more than introductions. He also, again, I would later find out a few years later, spent over $600 at a strip club. He says he was pressured by seniors to go and ended up paying for a VIP room for one of his buddies because he got the room and then didn't have the money to pay for it, and my husband said his friend was going to get into trouble. That weekend, he would go up and down the coast going to various clubs and another strip club from what I've gathered. At 19, we moved states and got our first house together. At 20, he deployed. This would be a very difficult time in our lives, and even more difficult after he got home. He developed a pornography addiction while deployed. I remember sitting on the bathroom floor at 4 in the morning refreshing one of his social media accounts, which I could see his following numbers go up about every 5 minutes. All porn accounts. He pressured me for pictures and videos and I would feel guilty for not doing the things he wanted, and I felt like if I didn't he was just going to find someone else to do it for him. He came home 6 months later and we were okay, except I noticed after a few weeks that as soon as he came home from work he would practically beeline it to the bathroom and shower for 45+ minutes. Sometimes I would even go into the bathroom after and I could tell he dropped the bottle of lube on the ground and it was still slippery. Or I could see the ring on the counter from the bottom of the bottle. I did my best to ignore it, until one day I saw a charge on our account for $30 to someone with a very interesting name. I confronted him and he immediately looked away, took in a deep breath, brushed his hand through his hair and sputtered out a quick excuse that it was his buddy's wife who bought them all lunch during work. I don't know why, but I said okay and left it at that. He got up a few minutes later saying he felt sick and went to lay down. I got a text from him an hour later saying he was sorry and that he developed a pornography addiction over deployment and he sent money to a girl for her premium Snapchat or something. He says he felt so guilty he didn't even look at anything and he deleted her right after he sent the money. I realized that the day this transaction took place, he had bought me flowers. He has never done that before, not even on any special occasions. From here on, the dates get confusing for me. I don't remember what happened first or when or how far apart, but I'll do my best to include as much information as I remember. Sometime later. Maybe weeks, maybe months. I woke up to a message from an old acquaintance on a certain social media. I think we were still 20 or maybe 21. I don't remember what exactly she said, something along the lines of "I just wanted you to know Forex said this to me" or something like that. He had messaged her the night prior, whilst drinking at a friend's house down the road, that he loved and missed her. I wish so badly I could remember more, but for some reason I can't. I know she said something like "You can't be saying this, you're married," and he said something along the lines of "I don't care." I screamed at him to wake up, but he was still drunk. I told him I wanted a divorce. I locked myself in the bathroom and hurt myself because I wanted to feel anything other than how I felt at that moment. I don't know how much time passed. When he opened the door, he said he didn't send those messages. He said that he left his phone plugged into the speaker and his friend was using it to play music. He said his friend must have seen the girl's story and messaged her trying to get nudes. He even pulled out his phone with proof, a text conversation between him and his friend confirming that the friend had messaged her and said he was sorry. I don't know why, but I believed him immediately. I remember having the most euphoric feeling of, I don't know what the word is, but whatever you feel when you let out a breath you've been holding and say, "Oh, thank God." I'm getting frustrated writing this because I'm realizing how much I'm forgetting and I feel like I'm missing something. At 21 I think, shit hit the fan. I think at this point I had gone through his phone several times and found internet history and links that he had clicked through one of his social media accounts to hundreds of different OnLive.NS sites. One night I went through his entire dollar account history since 2018 and found the charge for the strip club and Bumble. He said the Bumble charge wasn't him, it was a senior who used his card because his had gotten frozen or something ridiculous like that. I of course, believed him. I don't know why. I can't remember at what point I found out that he lied about messaging the girl on social media. I think it was after I had looked through his phone again and I found text messages between him and his friend that was the one who allegedly sent the messages. His friend said something like, "Bro, I can't even go to parties that your wife is at because she hates me lol," or something like that. But they both confirmed what I didn't want to believe. My husband had taken my phone, deleted the messages sent to me by the girl, and got his friend in on this elaborate story. I can't remember when I found out that he did in fact download and pay for upgrades on Bumble. I think I just knew at this point he was lying, and grilled him long enough that he relented. He said he never met anyone or anything, and he said during the conversation, "I only paid for the upgrade because no one would ever swipe for me." Or something like that. I can't remember at what point we went to legal on base and got information to file for divorce. I'd never seen him cry before besides one other time. After we got married, at the airport, he cried so hard and he wouldn't let me see. Just hugged me and buried my face in his chest so I wouldn't see. He said he didn't want to leave. But he cried constantly after I told him this was it and that I had an appointment and paperwork filled out to file for divorce. I'd never seen him like this before, constantly saying he was sorry, deleting every social media account he'd ever owned. Crying at the drop of a pin. Saying things like he will never marry again, I could have everything in our savings, he'd pay for me to finish college if that's what I wanted. I relented and we went to marriage counseling. He stepped up, a lot. He was never on his phone anymore. Would keep his phone unlocked and face up on the table. Told me I could go through it any time I asked. Promised to stop watching porn. He even started cleaning the house and making dinner before I got home from work. He stopped drinking with his friends. It was a complete 180. For a while. The issues started to arise when every little thing would trigger a panic attack. He couldn't hang out with his friends without me freaking out. He began drinking with his friends again maybe a few weeks later. One night he wasn't home by the time he told me he would be and I just broke. I ended up in the hospital and it was just the start of this toxic cycle. He would do something that would trigger me, whether it be drinking with his friends or the occasional YouTube short I would see in his watch history of a half-naked woman with her tits out and bouncing up and down. I would scream at him and berate him and degrade him because I wanted him to feel exactly how I felt. I think marriage counseling eventually helped a lot. After the hospital I finally got my own therapist. She was my best friend. I still text her to this day. I didn't have any friends where we lived. He worked with his friends every day and every weekend they would all party. I didn't have anyone. My friends and family were back home. I'm shy and have really bad social anxiety and I've always had trouble making friends because I can't seem to ever open my mouth when there's more than 3 people in the room. Whenever he would leave to go anywhere, I felt so alone. I think at 22 our marriage really started improving again. We went on vacation together and were able to work through a lot of issues and we were able to communicate things we were feeling and it was amazing. We both felt so hurt and we were able to find happy mediums on issues and relayed boundaries that each of us respected. I was 23 when I moved home a few months before his contract ended. He tied up his loose ends on the house and work and he moved back home with me. He tried working a night shift blue-collar job, making good money, even more than he made in the military. But he hated it. He hated everything about it. He missed his friends and his job. His friends were his family. This was the first time I'd ever seen him truly depressed. 5 months later he joined a different branch of the military. I didn't want him to. I wanted him to stay and have a normal life with me. I wanted to work normal jobs and have a family. He doesn't. He said he doesn't even want a family. I had started nursing school and my best friend whom I hardly ever got to see had a baby. I finally had a group of friends and family I was able to hang out with every week. He left and got stationed in a different state, but only about 600 miles away this time. Far, but drivable. He came home for a visit after only a week of being there. We were doing good at this point. Texting and calling a lot. A little over a month ago he left to go across the country for a 6-week exercise in the desert. He didn't have his phone for most of it, but he was able to text me once over a week ago. He didn't text again after that, until I messaged him letting him know that a pet of mine had died. He replied immediately. I've realized that he has had his phone, but just hasn't been talking to me. Yesterday, he texted me in the morning letting me know that he was going to spend an upcoming holiday with an old military friend from his previous branch, and then the holiday after that he wanted to go see his extended family in a different state. We've talked a lot since then, not about anything good. I've asked why he's pushing me away and he said he's focusing on his goals. I said I felt like I was being put on the back burner until he was ready to acknowledge me in our marriage and I tried to tell him he didn't have to be alone and that I would support him. He said, "You can't though, you say you can but you didn't support college or the CIA so I kind of felt I should just do this alone and get rid of some of the negativity." And I realized he was right. He brought up college when we were about 21 maybe 22 and I actually scoffed at him because I didn't realize he was being serious. I didn't believe he could do something like that. He barely graduated high school. He went to 4 different high schools total, never getting above a 1.5 GPA. I tried doing his homework to keep him afloat but he didn't care. I even got him enrolled in the same online academy that I attended, due to public school not fitting around my athletic schedule, and I had to do every class and every assignment for him because he would never do them. He ended up graduating from what you would call an alternative high school. After telling me he wanted to go to college, he then told me he was going to join the CIA. This was just unfathomable to me. I didn't know what to do because he wanted my support but I also didn't want to lie to him and tell him I believed in him. I guess I still don't. And I feel awful and I can't imagine the feeling of your spouse not supporting you unconditionally. I don't know how to support him in something I just don't think he can do. And now we're here. Neither of us want a divorce. Both of us know our relationship hasn't been the best. We both don't know what to do. I would feel so lost and empty without him. I've known him for more than half of my life. Our personalities are formed around each other. We talk the same, we have the same mannerisms. We experienced growing up together and becoming adults together. I just want to add that these experiences I've listed were the worst times. We've had amazing experiences together. We have so much fucking fun together. He makes me laugh more than anyone else can. He knows everything about me and has been there for every important moment in my life. I'm absolutely terrified of the future. I'm scared to tell my family if we get a divorce. I don't want to be another statistic. I know we got married young, I know we are a military family, I know that. I know that most of these marriages ended in divorce, but I really fucking thought we were different. I don't want to start over. I'm almost 24 and I know that's still considered young, but I've known him for 14 years. I thought we would have started thinking about having a family together by now. He just wants to focus on his career and says he doesn't think he even wants a family. I don't know what to do anymore. Update 1. I can honestly say I didn't even think it was possible to enjoy life this much. I have never experienced happiness like this. I'm honestly having a hard time putting it into words how amazing my life has become. I filed for divorce probably within 48 hours within making that post. Papers were signed a month later, divorce was finalized 2 months after that. It was completely uncontested, we shared no assets, no children, thank God. It was actually a lot easier than I expected it to be. Honestly, the hardest part was telling my family, especially my mom. Everyone loved him so much because I, unfortunately, made him out to be so perfect. It was pretty much a slap to the face for her to find out. I felt awful. She cried for days. But she was so supportive of me. Everyone was so damn supportive of me. I turned 25 soon. I decided to get my nurse practitioner's license. So that's the track I'm on right now. I've made an incredible amount of friends this year. If I'm not working, I'm out having fun. I'm always doing something fun every day. I'll try to reply to any comments, but I'm so busy these days. Smile, I have truly begun to find myself. And I'm fucking awesome. I am capable of so much. And I am brave. I am so brave. I did make one special friend from my original post, Bethany200300. Thanks to you and my best friend Katie, if you guys are reading this. Thank you for keeping me accountable and loving me unconditionally. I really didn't realize what a horrendous situation I was in, at least, not until after I made that initial post and received so many eye-opening comments. Lots of people were right though, I did already know the answer to my question. It's actually kind of weird thinking about it. It doesn't even feel real. Whenever I try to think about my life over the last couple of years, I can hardly remember anything. It's almost like I'm trying to recall a story that someone else told me. Anything that I do remember, I recall almost like I was a spectator, or an invisible third person in the room. And I just think this poor girl and what she's going through, I can't even imagine how awful. It just doesn't even feel like it was me. My real life started as soon as he was gone. We don't speak anymore. We haven't really spoken much since December. One of the last interactions we had, he was upset about the divorce and regretted it, and then he proceeded to threaten that he would murder anybody that I dated in the future. Yes, it's documented to the best of my ability. I don't think he would ever actually do anything like that. He hasn't even been back in the state this year. I think he's too busy. Last I heard through the grapevine, he got drunk, had a one-night stand, and got some girl pregnant. She wants to keep the baby. He doesn't. I think she even took a brick to his car and smashed the shit out of it. If I could give him one last piece of advice, it would be to start a savings account for this poor kid's future therapy bills. And to ask him if he ever realized that almost all of his monumental life mistakes have been committed under the influence of alcohol. But alas, it isn't my problem. He will never hear from me again. And I can say that with complete happiness and confidence. To everyone who said I wouldn't do it, and that I wasn't capable of leaving, fuck you, and thank you. I did leave. I didn't walk, I ran. I fucking sprinted. And I didn't look back. Update 2. Let's start with the craziest thing first. Remember those affair children from my first post? Yeah, so I've had to deal with that whole situation in the most unexpected way. It's a whole story, and I never saw this coming in a million years. So, remember how I mentioned my ex got someone pregnant? Well, surprise, surprise, that someone turned out to be the woman he cheated on me with. Yeah, the one who broke my heart. Apparently, they were keeping this little secret family all along. Fast forward to a couple of months ago, I get a phone call from a lawyer. Turns out, my ex passed away. I know, it sounds like some plot twist out of a bad soap opera, but stay with me. The lawyer tells me that my ex's will includes a very specific request, that I take in his children, the ones he had with that woman, and raise them. And by the way, his family thinks I'm the one who's responsible for doing this because I'm the biological connection. I was honestly floored. First off, no one thought to mention this to me before? Apparently, he made this decision years ago when they were born and kept it under wraps, which is, of course, typical of his shady behavior. But now that he's gone, it's all on me. They want me to take care of 2 kids, ages 5 and 7, that I didn't even know existed until recently, as if I wasn't dealing with enough already. So, naturally, I had a ton of questions. Why me? Why would he leave this responsibility to me of all people? Did he even care about these kids? And more importantly, am I prepared for this? The lawyer assured me that he had set up some kind of financial assistance to help with their care, but I still felt like I was being handed an impossible task. After some serious thought, I decided to meet the kids. I've never been around children that young, and the idea of suddenly being a stepmom to two strangers was daunting. But let me tell you, it was one of the most emotionally complicated experiences of my life. When I met them, I could see a lot of my ex in them, and it messed with my head. They were sweet, curious, and honestly so innocent, and I started to feel a little guilt about my initial reaction. I had a serious conversation with the lawyer and the family about my involvement. I was clear that I couldn't just jump in and play happy family with no preparation. They understood, but they still insisted that I had some duty because I was tied to their father. I don't know if I'll ever fully accept the role of mother to these kids. I don't think it's something I can just jump into, even if he left me this weird legacy. I've already been through so much with my own healing journey, and I didn't want to lose myself again, especially for children that weren't even mine. I ended up speaking to a therapist. Shout out to my amazing therapist, who helped me unpack everything. The big revelation? I had spent so much of my life trying to be what everyone else wanted me to be, trying to hold on to people who didn't deserve my loyalty, and worrying about what others thought of me. This whole situation with the kids was just a continuation of that pattern. It was not my responsibility. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became that I could not raise these kids. I had my own life to live, my own goals to chase, and my own healing to finish. I'm still a work in progress, and I can't be a mother figure to anyone right now. I made the decision to tell the lawyer that I wouldn't be raising the kids. But, and here's the plot twist that nobody expected, I also decided to help them out in a way that felt right for me. I've been helping them financially, and I've arranged for them to be placed with a family who actually wants to take them in. This family is amazing, loving, stable, and ready to give these kids everything they need. So while I'm not becoming their mom, I can still play a role in their lives, just not in the way my ex wanted. Now, on to more positive things. My life is still on this incredible upward swing. I finished nursing school and passed my certification exams with flying colors. I've started working at a local hospital, and it's been a dream come true. I absolutely love what I do, and I feel like I'm finally living the life I was meant to live. I'm planning to specialize in pediatric care, kind of ironic, right? And I've found a true passion for it. Oh, and dating. Let's talk about dating. I'm officially back on the market. I've gone on a few dates, and while it's been fun, I'm taking things slow. I've learned so much about myself over the last year, and I know now that I can't settle for anyone who doesn't truly respect and value me. I'm not looking for a rescue, I'm looking for someone who will stand by me, support my goals, and let me keep living my best life. So far, nothing too serious, but I'm enjoying the experience. Lastly, I've completely cut off my ex's family. I feel no obligation to stay in contact with them, and honestly, the only reason I ever did in the first place was out of guilt. I've also made it clear to them that I will not be raising the kids, and I've let them know that they need to figure things out with the family who is willing to step in. They're not happy, but they'll get over it. My life, my choices. Thank you all so much for your support. Your comments on my first post were life-changing, and honestly, I don't think I would have been able to make these tough decisions without the support of strangers who truly cared. I'm finally at a point where I feel free. I can't wait to see what the future holds. Here's to continuing to live my best, unshackled life. Now on to second story. Refused to let my father's partner shove a pink birthday party on my daughter months after her birthday, causing family outrage. My 33F daughter Cleo, 5 yo, hates pink. She has disliked the color and almost everything to do with it since she was about 3 or so. She has one pink shirt she likes and one pink stuffed animal, and that's it. My father's partner, Prue, refuses to accept that Cleo doesn't like pink. Over the years, she's made several attempts to push the color onto her. Pretty much every gift she's ever given her was some shade of pink, no matter how many times I tell her to stop. She has tried to give me dozens of different reasons why I should encourage my daughter to try different shades. It clearly upsets Cleo, but Prue keeps doing it. About a week ago, my father invited me, my husband and our children for dinner at his place. He said he and Prue had a surprise for the kids. Right before we left home, my younger sister, who still lives with our father, texted me. She warned me that the surprise was actually a small birthday party Prue had planned for Cleo. That alone threw me off, because my daughter's birthday was in November. My father did miss her actual birthday party due to work, but still. Also, my son turns 9 in March, so I had figured his would be the next party we'd have. Then she sent me photos of how the place was decorated, and it very clearly wasn't actually meant for Cleo. Literally every piece of decor was pink. The table, the tableware, the balloons, everything. She had gotten pink banners and glued pink foil fringe curtains on the doors. Even the cake was pink. I showed everything to my husband, and we agreed not to take the kids there. I texted my father the following: "Hey, sister, told me everything. We're not coming. We're taking the kids to McDonald's and telling them that was your surprise. You and Prue can come if you want, we're paying." We did exactly that. My father did show up, without Prue, but he was cold with us and left 20 minutes after arriving. Both him and Prue are pissed. My father is angry that my husband and I dismissed his partner's heartfelt gesture towards our daughter. Prue also told me that I'm the reason Cleo is restrictive. I also don't like pink, and I'm raising her to be an ungrateful, spoiled brat who is unwilling to compromise. To be honest, I get how I could be in the wrong here. But at the same time, this just felt like Prue trying to push something Cleo doesn't like onto her yet again. My sister and one of my brothers are on my side, though my sister did say I had been rude. My other brother is on the fence. Ida? Update 1. First of all, I apologized to my sister a few hours after I made my original post. I am very grateful for what she did, but I'll do my best to keep her away from these conflicts moving forward. Thank you to those who defended her. Secondly, I went through your comments with my husband, and our main takeaway was that we did what we had to do to protect Cleo, even if it wasn't what we'd do in most circumstances. Had either of us been surprised with a party decorated with something we openly hated, we would have sucked it up and ignored it. It sucks, but we're adults and it comes with the territory. Cleo, however, is 5 years old. She wouldn't deal with this the same way, nor would we expect her to. Knowing my daughter, she would have been miserable at the party. So ultimately, we don't regret not taking her there. On Saturday, we took the kids to spend the afternoon at my brother's place with their cousins. In the meantime, we invited my father and Prue over to talk. My husband and I told them we wanted them to abide by the following. 1. No more surprise parties without our knowledge and approval. 2. No more pushing the color pink onto Cleo, including pink gifts. And 3. No more calling our children spoiled for being allowed to dislike something. If they didn't agree to our terms, we would no longer take the kids to their place, and there would be a good chance we'd lower our contact with them in the future. Prue didn't say anything at first. My father tried to argue that we should at least thank her for the party, but I said no. I told them the problem wasn't that Prue threw a party for my daughter that was dedicated to her own interests, it was that she specifically chose something she knows my daughter hates and centered everything around it. We wouldn't thank her, and we wouldn't apologize. That's when Prue chimed in. She tried to tell us we were raising our daughter to be a brat again. So I asked, why are you so insistent on pink? She didn't answer at first, but then said she knew Cleo did love pink, she just didn't know it yet. And to that I asked, would you be this pushy if it was about any other color? Prue tried to say that didn't matter, but when my husband asked her if she'd care if Cleo hated blue, she said, she doesn't need to like blue. He replied that she didn't need to like pink either. He told Prue that she had no right to decide what Cleo should and shouldn't like. Cleo hates pink, and if she can't be an adult and respect that, then she doesn't need to be around our children. In the end, my father and Prue agreed to our terms. I'm not confident about her, but I did speak to my father. I said I know that he has a hard time saying no to Prue, but he will ruin his relationship with me and my children if he keeps enabling his partner. My father promised he wouldn't let this happen again. I hope this works out. Cleo is a great kid, and I hope my father and Prue can finally start seeing that. Thank you all for everything.